Hey there, savvy finance fans. Welcome to Capital Decoder News, where we untangle the wild world of money and politics so you can profit. Let's dive into today's top stories and find the opportunities hiding within. U.S. political showdown, debt drama, and dollars. A fiscal storm is brewing in Washington as President-elect Donald Trump and his allies clash with Republican Speaker Mike Johnson over the debt ceiling and a proposed $6.75 trillion budget. The internal Republican conflict is overshadowing bipartisan battles with differing views on managing the national debt. Some advocate for tax cuts and spending increases, while others, like Steve Bannon, call for higher taxes on the wealthy to address public discontent and market stability. Profit tip: political gridlock can lead to market volatility. Consider diversifying your portfolio with defensive stocks or bonds to hedge against potential market swings. Europe's uncertainty amid U.S. policy shifts. As Donald Trump prepares to assume office, European leaders are grappling with uncertainty regarding continued support for Ukraine should Trump discontinue U.S. military aid. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's recent visit to Brussels resulted in no definitive commitment from EU and NATO leaders. The debate remains polarized, with some advocating for troop deployment as trainers and others promoting cautious support to avoid escalating the conflict between Russia and NATO. Profit tip: geopolitical tensions can impact energy markets. Keep an eye on energy sector ETFs or companies with diversified energy sources. Canada's political shakeup. Canada is facing political turmoil following the resignation of Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, who left after a disagreement with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Her departure comes at a critical time as Donald Trump is set to return as U.S. President, threatening tariffs on Canadian imports. Trudeau's government is significantly trailing the Conservative Party in polls, struggling with issues like rising living costs and immigration. Profit tip: political instability can affect currency values. Monitor the Canadian dollar and consider currency-hedged investments if you're exposed to Canadian markets. India's stock market outlook for 2025. In 2025, the Indian stock markets are expected to experience moderate growth compared to previous years. A Reuters poll forecasts the benchmark Sensex index to rise by only 9% from its current levels by the end of 2025, reflecting slower growth compared to recent years. Economic concerns include slowing consumer demand, reduced corporate earnings, and a record influx of new shares entering the market. Profit tip: emerging markets can offer growth opportunities but come with risks. Consider balanced exposure through diversified emerging market ETFs. The rise of Reform UK. Nick Candy, a wealthy property entrepreneur, has joined Reform UK as its treasurer, marking another high-profile defection from the Conservative Party. This move is part of a broader trend of rising support for Reform UK, which has recently surpassed Labour in one opinion poll and is narrowly trailing behind the Conservatives. With 5 MPs and a membership of 100,000, the party's leader, Nigel Farage, is optimistic about its future. Profit tip: political shifts can influence market sectors differently. Stay informed on policy proposals to identify potential investment opportunities or risks. Planning reforms and the UK housing crisis. The housing crisis in Britain is being attributed to high immigration rather than addressing the core issue of planning and land use reforms. Despite significant net immigration since 2020, the author argues that blaming immigration alone is a policy misstep. Historical context shows that rising demand met with flexible planning could effectively address housing needs. Escalating house prices reflect issues in the discretionary planning system that limits land availability and permissions. Profit tip: real estate markets are influenced by policy changes. Keep an eye on planning reforms that could impact property development companies and housing market investments. The political debate on TikTok, while gaining popularity especially among Gen Z and now older age groups, lacks the depth and context necessary for informed decision-making. Although young people distrust TikTok's news content, many rely on it due to its easy access and engagement-focused design. Influencers and internet personalities often outpace traditional news outlets on these platforms, leading to content that prioritizes emotional and provocative elements over comprehensive policy discussion. Profit tip: misinformation can lead to market mispricings. Rely on reputable news sources for investment decisions and be cautious of trends driven by social media hype. U.S. political and legal pressures, particularly from Republicans, are causing financial institutions to rethink their commitment to climate alliances. High-profile departures from groups like Climate Action 100+ and the Net Zero Asset Managers Initiative highlight this trend. The exits are driven by legal concerns and critiques branding these alliances as climate cartels pressuring companies against affordable energy production. Profit tip: ESG, environmental social governance investing, is evolving. Stay updated on regulatory changes that could impact ESG funds and consider diversifying your investment criteria. The commentary discusses various issues from political violence and armed forces to financial regulations and economic policies. Charles Fane Lehman argues that the rise in political violence can be attributed to justifications made in its favor rather than addressing its root causes. Alicia Finley highlights how federal pressure has led banks to monitor and report customers extensively affecting tech and crypto entrepreneurs. Matthew Continetti criticizes the justification of violence by progressive left for political motives. Judge Glock argues that Bidenomics has favored educated elites over blue-collar workers, with union expansions failing to support manual laborers. Profit tip: regulatory environments can impact various sectors differently. Monitor policy changes that could affect industries like tech, crypto, and manufacturing to make informed investment decisions. Ending the climate instead of addressing zoning and land use policies misses the real issue. Current planning regulations restrict housing supply, causing prices to soar and exacerbating the housing crisis. With the UK government struggling to address the problem effectively, calls for reform are growing louder. Profit tip: housing shortages can present opportunities for investments in real estate companies, or REITs, real estate investment trusts, that focus on urban development or affordable housing projects. Key takeaways: U.S. debt ceiling drama. Washington's gridlock might shake up markets. Defensive assets like bonds could provide stability during uncertain times. Europe's worry over U.S.-Ukraine policy. Keep an eye on energy sector investments, as geopolitical tensions could impact supply and prices. Canada's political uncertainty. Watch the Canadian dollar and look into currency-hedged investment options if you have exposure to Canadian markets. India's slower growth forecast. Emerging market ETFs remain a strategic option, but balance your portfolio to mitigate risks. Reform UK's rise. Political shifts could bring unexpected opportunities or risks in various sectors, so stay informed. UK housing crisis. Real estate-focused investments might benefit from efforts to address housing shortages, especially in urban centers. Final word: markets are unpredictable, and today's headlines highlight just how interconnected politics, policies, and profits are. Diversify your portfolio, watch for geopolitical risks, and always research before jumping on trends. If you enjoyed decoding today's news, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Remember, finance is fun when we break it down together. See you next time.